The words hit harder than the sound of the crystal glass shattering across the polished dining floor. In the middle of his mother's 70th birthday celebration, surrounded by smiling relatives, lifelong friends, and neighbors who had gathered to honor a woman everyone admired, my husband pointed straight at me with eyes full of anger and called me a family destroyer. Every conversation stopped. Every smile disappeared. The room became painfully silent as dozens of faces turned toward me, waiting to see whether I would defend myself or simply accept the humiliation. I never imagined that one sentence, spoken in broad daylight during what should have been a joyful family celebration, would expose years of hidden lies, betrayals, and manipulation. Before the afternoon was over, 8 different relationships would collapse, lifelong secrets would come into the open, and every person in that beautiful house would leave forever changed. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, hope, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share this story with someone who needs encouragement today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. For almost 15 years, I believed I had married into a close, loving family. My name was Claire, and when I met my husband, Grant, he seemed dependable, thoughtful, and deeply devoted to the people he loved. His mother, Eleanor, welcomed me warmly, and I spent years trying to become the daughter-in-law she deserved. I never missed birthdays, anniversaries, family lunches, or holiday gatherings. I cooked, decorated, organized events, and quietly helped relatives whenever they needed support. I believed families stayed together because someone was always willing to sacrifice a little more than everyone else. I didn't realize that the person making the greatest sacrifices often became the easiest person to blame. Eleanor's 70th birthday had been planned for months. The celebration took place at her beautiful countryside home under clear blue skies. Long tables decorated with fresh flowers stretched across the backyard. Children laughed as they played games on the lawn while older relatives shared stories beneath large white umbrellas. Musicians played soft acoustic music that blended perfectly with the warm afternoon breeze. Everything looked like the picture of a perfect family, yet beneath every smile rested years of resentment, jealousy, and carefully hidden secrets. I had arrived early to help with the final decorations. Eleanor hugged me tightly and thanked me for organizing nearly everything. She admitted that without my help the celebration would never have happened. Her gratitude meant more to me than she could ever know because during the previous year my own marriage had quietly begun falling apart. Grant had grown distant. He worked late almost every evening, avoided conversations, and treated every disagreement as if I were attacking him personally. Whenever I suggested counseling, he insisted I was creating problems that didn't exist. As guests filled the garden, I noticed unusual tension between several family members. Grant barely looked at me. His younger sister, Meredith, seemed unusually nervous every time her fiancé checked his phone. Grant's cousin, Nolan, kept disappearing into the house with excuses about work calls. Eleanor's longtime friend Judith appeared uncomfortable whenever Eleanor's brother Victor approached. Small details most people ignored suddenly felt strangely connected, though I couldn't understand why. The birthday speeches began shortly before lunch. Family members shared memories that made everyone laugh and occasionally cry. When it became Grant's turn, I expected him to praise his mother. Instead, he slowly turned toward me with a cold expression I barely recognized. He announced that his family deserved honesty and that someone had been tearing everyone apart for years. Then he looked directly at me before calling me a family destroyer. He claimed I had manipulated relatives against one another, created unnecessary conflicts, and poisoned family relationships through gossip and control. His accusations came one after another so quickly that I struggled to process them. People stared at me with confusion while others looked at Grant with equal disbelief. I stood frozen, not because I believed him, but because I couldn't understand why the man I had loved would publicly humiliate me without warning. Then something remarkable happened. Instead of defending myself immediately, I remained silent. That silence gave others the courage to speak. Eleanor slowly stood from her chair and calmly asked Grant to explain exactly what I had done. He listed vague complaints without offering a single example. He insisted everyone knew what he meant. But no one nodded. No one agreed. Meredith unexpectedly stepped forward and admitted that the arguments between her and her fiancé had nothing to do with me. She confessed she had secretly been reading messages on his phone because she suspected he was hiding financial problems. Her fiancé's face turned pale before admitting he had accumulated enormous gambling debts without telling her. Their engagement ended before lunch was even served. The entire gathering fell into stunned silence. Then Nolan's wife quietly revealed she had recently discovered evidence that Nolan had been secretly transferring money from a shared family business account. Nolan denied everything until Victor admitted he had helped cover the missing funds to protect the family's reputation. That confession instantly destroyed both marriages involved in the deception and permanently ended the business partnership between several relatives. Within minutes, years of carefully hidden dishonesty began collapsing like falling dominoes. Grant became increasingly frustrated as attention shifted away from his accusations against me. He repeatedly insisted I had started all the family problems, but every new confession pointed somewhere else. Judith finally wiped tears from her eyes and admitted she had spent years pretending everything was fine while secretly blaming Eleanor for an accident that had ended another friendship decades earlier. Eleanor listened quietly before revealing she had carried guilt for that misunderstanding every single day. The truth neither woman had known was that the accident had resulted from a completely unrelated mistake by someone who had already passed away years before. Although sadness remained, both women embraced for the first time in decades, proving that truth sometimes heals wounds created by assumptions. Then another secret surfaced. Grant's closest friend, Owen, admitted he had been helping Grant hide an emotional affair with a coworker for nearly a year. He explained that it had never become physical but had crossed every emotional boundary of marriage. Owen confessed because watching Grant publicly shame me felt unbearable. Owen's own marriage ended moments later when his wife realized he had spent months lying to protect someone else's betrayal instead of protecting honesty within his own home. I felt my knees weaken. Everything that had confused me over the previous year suddenly made sense. Grant hadn't accused me because I had destroyed the family. He accused me because he believed that if everyone focused on me, no one would discover what he had done. The afternoon continued unraveling in ways no one could have imagined. Victor's adult son admitted he had been pretending to attend university while secretly dropping out almost 2 years earlier. Fear of disappointing his father had trapped him inside a web of lies that only grew larger over time. Rather than reacting with anger, Victor broke down crying, realizing his constant pressure had made honesty feel impossible. Though painful, their relationship finally began healing. One of Eleanor's neighbors, who had become almost like family over 30 years, confessed she had spread rumors about another couple out of jealousy after feeling excluded from family gatherings. That admission ended yet another close friendship but also prevented years of future misunderstandings. By late afternoon, 8 different relationships had either ended completely or fundamentally changed forever. A broken engagement. A marriage destroyed by financial deception. A business partnership dissolved. A friendship rebuilt through truth. Another marriage shattered by loyalty to lies. A father and son beginning honest healing. A friendship ending because of malicious gossip. And my own marriage reaching its unavoidable conclusion. Grant stood alone while everyone else slowly recognized that the person he had labeled a family destroyer had actually been the one trying to keep everyone together. Eleanor walked toward me with tears filling her eyes. In front of every remaining guest, she apologized for not noticing how much pressure I had carried throughout the years. She admitted she had often accepted my help without realizing how frequently I had been cleaning up conflicts created by others. She thanked me for protecting her birthday celebration until the very moment protecting it became impossible. Her words released years of pain I had quietly buried beneath responsibility. For the first time in a long while, I allowed myself to cry without shame. The guests didn't see weakness. They saw relief. As people slowly packed their belongings, many approached me individually. Some apologized for believing rumors. Others admitted they had remained silent too often because confrontation felt uncomfortable. Several confessed they had mistaken my calmness for guilt when it had actually been strength. Grant attempted to apologize before leaving, but his words carried the weight of consequences rather than genuine understanding. He finally admitted he had convinced himself that making me the villain would protect his own image. Instead, it forced everyone to examine the truth more closely than ever before. I wished him peace, but I also understood that forgiveness doesn't always mean restoring what has been broken. Sometimes forgiveness simply means refusing to carry hatred into tomorrow. Over the following months, life looked completely different. The divorce process remained respectful despite the pain. Meredith eventually rebuilt her confidence and discovered that ending one engagement had saved her from a lifetime of dishonesty. Victor and his son slowly repaired their relationship through weekly lunches where honesty mattered more than perfection. Eleanor transformed her home into a place where family gatherings focused less on appearances and more on authenticity. She often reminded everyone that love without honesty eventually becomes performance, while honesty with compassion gives families the chance to heal. As for me, I learned that protecting everyone else at the expense of myself was never true kindness. Healthy love requires truth, boundaries, and courage. I stopped apologizing for things that were never my fault. I stopped carrying burdens other people refused to acknowledge. Most importantly, I discovered that losing people who only loved a false version of me created space for relationships built on sincerity. A year after Eleanor's unforgettable birthday, she invited everyone back for a simple afternoon picnic. There were fewer people than before, but every smile was genuine. No one pretended to be perfect. No one hid behind carefully crafted stories. Children laughed across the grass while adults spoke openly about mistakes, forgiveness, and new beginnings. The family had become smaller, but somehow stronger. Looking around that sunny afternoon, I realized something unexpected. The birthday celebration people remembered wasn't famous because 8 relationships ended. It became unforgettable because the truth finally entered a family that had spent too many years pretending everything was fine. Sometimes what appears to be destruction is actually the painful beginning of healing. Sometimes the strongest person in the room is the one willing to stand quietly while the truth finds its own voice. Before we reach the end of this story, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever seen honesty completely change a family or relationship? Please leave a meaningful comment sharing the lesson you believe matters most, because your words may encourage someone who needs hope today. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. Remember that truth may shake our lives for a moment, but kindness, forgiveness, and courage can build something far stronger than comfortable lies ever could. No matter how difficult today feels, never stop believing that healing begins the moment honesty and compassion walk hand in hand.